Okay, so I'm gonna explain now two different things. First thing will be preparation for the tier 3, tier 4 raid and raid related stuff, and also some suggestions about how you should progress or which parts you should upgrade for the upcoming contents or tier 2 gear. And the second part will be about stuff which you can do once you have some free time left or later once you reach the max item level cap, and why you should do those, which stuff which you might consider as boring or irrelevant, and the benefits of it. So let's start with the first part, which is tier 3 for raid preparation and gear suggestion. I'm going to start with armor or gear suggestion. I already made a guide about which gear path you should go for the current gear which we have, the tier 1 gear, which will need the least amount of acrasium. A gear path which needs the least amount of acrasium will be the fastest one because we are usually gated by acrasium. Keep in mind, if you pick wrong or a different path than the one which I suggest for the tier 1 or tier 2 upcoming gear, don't worry, you will get to the final or the level cap, item level cap, but you will be slower. So no need to dismantle, because if you dismantle your already upgraded gear, you will lose 20% of acrasium invested. So which armor or gear path would I suggest for the upcoming gear, tier 2 gear? I would recommend a similar path like the one which I explained already in my previous guide for the current gear, which is you pick a weapon and an armor part, it doesn't matter which armor part, and push those to max item level as soon as possible. And those parts should be either PvP or life skill. You can also go for 2 life skill or like 2 PvP, depending on what you prefer, or you can mix it, like 1 life skill and 1 PvP. Important is that your weapon is one of those. And then you pick a armor part depending on, especially if you are going for a life skill armor part, depending on which life skill you do, you should pick a different armor part, because some of the armor or gear will require mats from certain life skills. So basically, you push 1 weapon. I would really recommend the PvP weapon, because the materials for PvP are easy to farm. Just grind PvP. There is no gate for the tokens. And then the life skill. The rest should be, once you clear the first guardian of tier 3, the rest of the armor should be tier 3 guardian crafted armor. I'm gonna call it tier 3 guardian crafted armor. It is not actually the tier 3 gear, because as you know, the current tier 1 guardian rate crafted armor is tier 0.5, and the tier 2 rate or guardians crafted armor is the actual tier 1 gear. So I think it might be a little bit confusing. Again, just push 1 weapon and push 1 armor part, and then the rest should be armor crafted from tier 3 guardian rate. Once you get to the threshold or to the item level which unlocks the tier 4 raid gear, again, similar to the previous path which we did for the current 2 guardian raids, replace the tier 3 crafted guardian raid gear with the tier 4 crafted guardian raid gear, and you can upgrade them one by one. If they change the item levels a little bit or tweak them around, you might need to upgrade more than the weapon and the 1 armor piece which you selected, either life skill or PvP. You might need to upgrade an additional raid gear to get to the item level which will unlock the last tier of raids. So I will make a shorter and more clear path or guide later, once we have the exact number of item level and materials needed. Just as a preparation, we have still a few days left. You should, if you go for the PvP path, you can already start grinding PvP tokens, and it will be pretty easy, and you will be only gated by acrasium to push your weapon to max and 1 part of your armor to max. Next thing is preparation for raid. We have the, wait a second, there we go. I'm going to use this website here because it's really, there are a lot of stuff mentioned. You can also click on the guardians and see their skills and which items are required. So if you want to be a little bit ahead, and if you want to do some, auction house, earn some gold, currently items needed for tier 3 and tier 4 guardian, some of the items are pretty cheap. I would recommend to stockpile those for personal need before the price goes up, or you can stockpile those and sell those later once the price goes up, because everyone's going to need those. If we get the unnerved guardian raids, it's not confirmed yet, it will be even more mandatory to use those items. For those guys asking, who are asking in the last few days, do we need the fire weapon or the element fire? Do I need to craft it? It depends on your party. If you have an experienced party, you don't need to craft it. You can kill the first guardian without the weapon. But if you're new, if you don't have a static with a lot of experience, the fire weapon, element weapon will make it easier. Both guardians here, the first and the second one of the next tier. I won't go through all those in depth or in detail. I'm going to just explain you which items might be needed, and you can click on those and you can also see which runes are needed. But basically for this guardian, you need the blue destruction bombs. So you can already stockpile those, because you will also need the destruction bombs for magma turtle and for Necroshana. And destruction bombs are pretty cheap currently. For the Regyrus brothers, you don't need any specific combat items, except, of course, I won't tell you every time you need heal potions. Green, blue, and purple, it depends on how hard is it for you, how much you struggle to survive. Calvin 2s will need, you can get the cleanse item. Let me show it to you. I have already stockpiled those. So, this one. This item will make it easier because that item removes debuff. Calvin Tooth will, every time he hits you, apply an armor reduction debuff. So if it stacks up, you will get hit harder and harder. And using cleanse will remove the debuff. This one gives you burn immunity, like dots on you. This one also, you can counteract with burn immunity runes, but it will be still helpful. And the last one here it is even mandatory to have those items which I just showed you, because he's gonna kind of like, petrify you and you will get out of it. And if you fuck it up, there's an entire complicated mechanic. I have a guide especially for this one in my channel. Check it out once you're at this one. But once again, the item which I just showed is mandatory for at least 4 of those guardian, or suggested for 4 of those guardians. And then we have the whirlwind bomb. Whirlwind bomb is really helpful for this turtle here. At some point you have to stagger him fast, or he will keep escaping and you will run out of time. And it's really a good item to down boss faster. For Yoho, you might need the water bomb. The entire field will be on flames, and with the water bomb you can get rid of the flame field. And of course, blue scarecrow is something which you should stockpile or get a decent amount of it for tiltlers. This is a tiltlers, not titlers, and I explained that also in my tiltlers guide. Just check it out. So those are the stuff which you need to prepare for guardian raids, for the upcoming guardian raids. Once we have those, I will go also, or make also more in-depth videos about it. For now, that's the first part, and if you have any questions, you can now ask it now in the comments, or now in stream, and then I will continue later with the second part.